She didn't flinch when she said it. "Here's the deal," she snapped, eyes locked on me like I was a child in her way. "My lover had a family tragedy. I'm going to support him. 2 weeks. Don't expect me. And if you dare file for divorce, I will destroy you." Then she walked out, heels striking the floor like a gavel sealing my sentence. I sat there stunned. My wife, my partner, the woman I once thought was my future. She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't hiding. She was daring me to resist. That was her mistake. I still remember the first night I met her. She laughed at my stupid joke in a crowded bar, leaned closer like I was the only man alive. Back then, she was all warmth and promise. The kind of woman who made you believe in second chances. I gave her everything. My loyalty, my trust, my name. But somewhere along the way, she decided that wasn't enough. It started with small things. Late nights at work, guarded texts she angled her phone to hide, the faintest trace of cologne that wasn't mine. I wanted to believe her stories. I wanted to stay blind. But the truth has a way of bleeding through lies. The night she left her phone unattended, I saw it. His name, his words, her replies, intimate, shameless, like I didn't exist. That was the night my grief calcified into something sharper. Most men would rage, confront, beg. Not me. I smiled. I nodded. I told her I understood. Because a storm is useless if it blows too early. I began to plan. First, I visited a lawyer quietly, discreetly. I learned every angle of the law. She thought she could destroy me. She didn't know I had built safeguards years ago. Prenup clauses she had signed without a second glance. Financial structures only I controlled. Then I started collecting screenshots, bank statements, pictures, a neat file of betrayal, every piece dated and verified. I moved money, shifted assets, closed doors she didn't even know existed. On paper, she still looked safe. In reality, she was standing over a trapdoor. And then I waited. Patience is the most dangerous weapon. 2 weeks later, she returned. I was at the table when she walked in, smug and radiant, as if her absence had been some noble act of sacrifice. "You survived without me," she said, dropping her keys like she owned the air in the room. I slid the envelope across the table. "What's this?" she asked. "Your lover's tragedy wasn't the only one," I said calmly. "Yours begins now." She opened it. Pages spilled out. Photos, transcripts, copies of her messages. Her smile cracked. "You can't," she stuttered. I leaned forward. "I already did." The confrontation was surgical. I told her how I had moved every cent of marital assets into protected accounts, how I had presented the evidence to my lawyer, ensuring she'd walk away with nothing but debt. How every one of her threats, destroy me, ruin me, was now a shadow without teeth. Her face drained of color as I spoke. For once, she didn't interrupt. She just sat there, gripping the papers, realizing every secret she thought she owned had already been turned against her. And then the final cut. I slid my phone across the table. A video already cued her lover. A recording. His drunken rant to friends about how she was just a temporary distraction, how he'd never leave his family for her. I watched the truth strike her harder than anything I could have said. She broke then, not loudly, not dramatically, just broke. The divorce was clean. Publicly, I said nothing. Privately, I ensured every bridge she thought she could run to was ash. She left with no money, no credibility, no lover to cling to. And me, I walked away untouchable. I don't celebrate what I did. I don't dance on the ashes of what we once were. But I'll tell you this, I gave her the gift of silence when I could have chosen chaos. I gave her a chance to leave with dignity. She gambled against me and lost. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't just wound, it teaches. And I learned I was far stronger, far colder than she ever imagined. Now when I look back on that night, the heels, the threats, the arrogance, I don't feel anger. I feel nothing. And nothing is the sharpest revenge of all. Please like, subscribe and share the